Alright, Smiths, this is the beginning of our Unit 9 test review. Now I'm working off of this worksheet 1. This is the one that's going to be our main worksheet for the test. Best one to study is right here. And we're just looking at the vocab here. These are pretty simple. They're going to show up as these long definitions on the test, but we're really looking for these key words. For instance, a cylinder has 2 circular bases, and that's something we've talked about over and over again that everybody is really familiar with. A cone has a, meaning 1, circular base. So really simple, really straightforward. Make sure you pay attention to those, highlight those, underline those. And you can go ahead and pause the video if you need to pause those, if you need to copy those. Otherwise, I'm going to move down to problem number 1, and these are things that we've done in class, but just to review, when we are describing or naming a figure, or a figure that can be derived from a net, remember that a net is a thing we're going to fold. So this is like a piece of paper that we're going to fold up and say, okay, what shape or what solid do I get? So over here on problem A, so 1A, we're going to break this down into 2 pieces. And that first piece is what shape is the base? What shape is the base? And then the second piece is how many bases are there? How many bases are there? Now for A, it's easiest to see that, this thing in the middle, that's obviously the base. We can kind of tell that right off the bat. The shape is rectangular because the base is a rectangle. And then how many of them? Well, there's one base, so we call that a pyramid. Now for B, we could still break this down into those 2 pieces. What shape is the base? Well, clearly they're circles, right? It's these things right here. They're circles, so it would be circular. And then there are 2 of them, so it's a cylinder. And then the thing we talked about is that for a cylinder, the base will always be circular. So we actually don't even need to write that. We don't even need to write it. We can just put cylinder. For C, this one gets a little harder to tell, right? Because I know that I could have something with a rectangular base like that, or I could have something with a rectangular base here. So actually what we can do is we can start by asking the second question first. How many bases are there? Now I know it can only be 1 or 2. I can only ever have 1 or 2 bases. But here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 of these long rectangles. So we know that these long rectangles are not the base. Our base is going to be this small square here. And actually we don't know that it's a square, it just looks like a square. But there are 2 of them. So we know it's a prism. And now we can go back and say, okay, what's the shape? And you could put square, that's fine. But I'm just going to put rectangular to be just to be safe, because a square is a rectangle. So technically, even if it is a square, rectangular prism is still correct. And then last but not least, for the cone over here, you can see it has 1 base and it's a circle. So it's a cone. And remember, we don't have to write that circular part because for a cone, it'll always be a circle.